Greetings. I am your host, Glen Alex, and this is the Glen Alex Show, the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Award winner. And each episode of the Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because I believe in total health. You are whole, and all of you matter. And I am on a mission to help you be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. The life experience I call wealth, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. Those who are living in total health or in pursuit of total health do not intentionally harm self or others. And as Carl Jung says, the healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. So please keep that in mind in light of what is happening in our world these days. And join us on this journey for living in total health so we can make humanity safe and loving for everyone. Visit glenalex.com to learn more about me and my work. And stay tuned for this very, very important episode on living your wholeness.
Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex
Please help me welcome my guest, Matthew Tack. Matthew is a human performance coach specializing in longevity. He has a journey of hardship going through a mental state in his 20s that was not sustainable, depression and insecurities that he ultimately had to reconcile with. Matt, almost leaving his wife at the age of 26, decided to enter a Celebrate Recovery program. Coming out of those 90 days, he found a purpose to live a life of meaning and purpose. He now has been married for 12 years and has three daughters. Matt has also has the mindset that he is setting a new standard of what living full fueled means. Matt has multiple businesses that focus on human longevity and optimal performance. Matthew, thank you for making time to be here. I am looking forward to this conversation with you because when I saw your profile on Podmatch, I was impressed with your work being about the whole person. And that is the basis of my work about total health and the whole person. So, welcome to the Glen Alex Show.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to having this conversation.
Okay. Well, let's just get into it. Can you just tell us about a little bit about your story when you were in your 20s and then you made that shift from unhealth to the pursuit of health?
Yeah, it was just a journey really through being an athlete. I think a lot of athletes can identify with like you're no longer in a competitive state, and so how you retrain that level of competition. And for me, it was that. So like I had to really really work through that in terms of giving up like necessarily athletics, and that's really what it comes back to. Full field means is not giving up on your athlete, the forever athlete. But in my early 20s, it was just a negative mindset and using just like different coping mechanisms, drinking on the weekends and just doing various things that naturally I think a lot of people think are okay. But the reality for me, if you want to be the healthiest person of yourself, I realized that that wasn't the case. So I went through a stretch after college where I was in a super negative mindset, and it just didn't really serve me. And so there was this piece where I just really had a breaking point, and that's where I really entered a Celebrate Recovery program. And I guess I could say it really wasn't. It was about the program, but it was more about like me realizing that I needed help at that time,
Okay.
and then coming in with an act of humility, and then vulnerability to that to ultimately get through that. and to be cognizant of, what I think about today.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your recovery.
Thank you.
Okay. Now you mentioned the forever athlete. For people who didn't participate in athletics, are you able to help them tap into their inner athlete?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question because there's this piece of you there, no matter what, you're always in competition, right? You can look at it across the board. You're always in competition, right? And so even when it comes to your health, how can you compete with yourself? Like I always love this like idea of competition, just always be in competition. And so athletes can resonate with that because like when you're in an environment, right, you're competing to win. But then when you get in the world, you're like, well, what do I do? I got a job, there's still a level of competition in that, but like I even take it down for the very granular, like how are you competing with food, the food that you put in your body, right?
Okay.
um and so just various things. So everyone has their inner athlete, right? And I think you can really invoke that by the measures you take in training. So like everyone can train, everyone can pick up a weight and do resistance training, and so there's a form of athlete that comes out of that, right? But then even with your food, I think of it in form of an athlete, like how are we competing with our food? How is it utilized as a fuel source? So that's how we really encompass like our core pillars, living that full field lifestyle of fuel, movement, sleep, and mind, spirit, work, is just being in a constant competition with those.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. And so is that where you draw the three pronged approach that you have, the muscle, nutrition, and mindset?
Exactly. So those are things that you want to look at and be cognizant of, like for the purposes of longevity. So if you use longevity as a measuring stick, what does that even mean, right? A lot of people, what
Right.
is longevity? Well, it's really that level of competition, that performance, of how you can be a little bit better every day. And so you know that if you have the right mindset and you are putting the proper nutrition and building muscle, which is the greatest organ for longevity, those three things are a culmination to enhance the life in which you live. So that's why we focus on those three things eminently.
Okay. And as far as the mindset, is it just about um, how much weight you can lift today versus yesterday, or does it extend beyond the gym and the workout?
I don't think necessarily like for me, I use that as a measuring tool now for how much weight I can lift because my programming's a little bit geared towards that way. So I do a
Okay.
little bit more weightlifting, but not for everybody, right? The measuring tool is consistency. Are you doing it every day, right?
Okay.
And so consistency is the real measuring tool of like what you're gonna how you're gonna reap the benefits. Because if you aren't doing things consistently, then you aren't, right. You aren't gonna reap that. If you don't
Right.
eat with a healthy mindset consistently, you're not going to see the dividends that pays. So it's just like training the muscles. Yes, of course, you're going to grow in that capacity, and you'll probably be able to lift more weight. But it's really the consistency at which you do it, and being okay with being bored.
Oh, I like that a lot because I have a number of clients who experience anxiety and depression, and they always don't feel motivated to do something. And I'm like, the motivation is not necessarily the inertia to get started, it's the end goal that you're after.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how what you
100%.
share with your customers, clients?
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's this day and age where we're always trying to fill ourselves with something new, right?
Yes.
Um, and so like I need the new thing and I need it as quick as possible. But in a training type environment, like for me, I do different types of training. But man, like my wife actually said something to me the other day, like, you love going to the gym. And to be honest with you, I don't love going to the gym. If I could have a great body and not go to the gym, that'd be great, right? It's not the purpose of like, yeah, it's great. I love it. But I love the after effects of it.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with being bored because there's a lot of redundancy in what I do.
Yes.
Like my core workouts are relatively the same.
Okay.
over and over and over and over again. And I do them every day. So there's that level of like, I just have to be okay with that redundancy. Like, hey, it's nothing new. And so being okay with being moored because that's what ultimately keeps the ball rolling and we can keep pushing it down the field.
And that's what keeps you consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, as far as longevity, when I think of longevity, sometimes I only think of number of years. How do you discern longevity versus quality of life? What's the difference for you?
Yeah, great question. So there's this book, it's called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. And he puts it in a great way. So it's medicine 2.0 versus medicine 3.0. And he breaks it down that way of like, it's not necessarily your lifespan, it's your health span, right? You want the
Okay.
quality of your days to be the best, which you can live the most, right? So no one's guaranteed tomorrow. In fact, like, me being relatively young, I'm still not guaranteed next year. So then it's becoming the quality of those days at which you put in. So naturally, just the state of America that we currently live in, a lot of people are living, 25, 30 pounds overweight, right? Then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes the quality of the days that which they live, right? And
Right.
then, or if you have a very active lifestyle and you have a body that can like do more, maintain more, and you can be at a healthier peak mental state more often, well, then that's more considered your health span, right? Than
Okay.
necessarily your lifespan. Because somebody might be able to live to 100, but did they live to 100 well, right?
Yes.
Or somebody that lived to 70 and lived to 70 really well, right? So there's a difference between the two. And so it's looking at health span over lifespan.
Okay. And you incorporate that in your work with your clients.
For sure, our three pillars that we focus on. So we want to
Okay.
focus on the mindset first, the nutrition second, and the muscle third.
Okay. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about living full fuel.
Yeah. So living full fueled is it just, I think of it as your proactive measures, right? We talked about the competition that you have within yourself. I think is the big factor. And so that's why we put like six things that we truly like talk about. And that's fuel, movement, sleep. So you want to look at those mind, spirit, work, right? And so none of them can truly ever be in balance, right? Your burners are going to be on high, maybe in some areas, but it's always being cognizant of where you're at in those areas, right?
Okay.
So there's always ebbs and flows to life. So you're like not always going to be getting this like peak sleep, right? I remember when my daughter, I have three daughters now, as you mentioned, but when they were young, I was not getting a peak state of sleep. And it's just the nature of having young children is you're not getting peak sleep, right? Um, but being cognizant of that is important, right? And then how you're fueling your body throughout the day. Because if you get lack of sleep, well, then that potentially could create poor nutritional patterns.
Yes.
And if you're checking those balances, then maybe you can still make the right decisions to fuel, even though you're getting improper sleep, or you can improve your hydration during that time, which can enhance like maybe the minimal hours you are sleeping. So it's checks and balances of what burners are on for the purposes of like that full field lifestyle, right? How are you being proactive about the questions you're asking yourself?
Oh my goodness. Um, I love that because far too many people are just so focused on the physical or being this way 100% of the time. You're not going to be any one way 100% of the time. So you're talking about balancing when you're not sleeping well with better nutritional choices, with your mindset and being self-aware. I really, really like that.
Yeah, when you can ask those and just internalize those, and just be, the thing is being cognizant, right? Because a
Hmm.
lot of people aren't even aware,
Yes.
many times that like, wow, 6 months went by, and I packed on some serious weight in that time frame. What is it, right? So it's the shortening of the gap. If you can temperature check those more often, of hey, like where am I, right? And it's that routine of like coming back. Well, I haven't really been eating too well the past couple weeks, not the past couple months, the past couple weeks, right? And
Okay.
so I did a temperature check on that. And then I was able, hey, well, what changes can I make now? So many people right now, especially when we're coming into the holidays, want to say, oh, I'll get to it in 2025, as if 2024 is over, right? But that's not true. It's like, the best day to start is either today or tomorrow, right? You pick.
Right.
It's not 2025 aren't your goals. So it's just being those constant temperature checks of like where the burners are at and how I can properly evaluate them and understanding the seasonalities of life.
Okay. Well, I confess, I think you've been reading my mind, because I have given myself a pass for the birthday season. So
A
after
lot of
this, I will
yeah.
temper that.
All right. We'll
Thank you
hold you
for the
accountable.
reminder. Now, in your work, do you find a difference between the male and female athlete?
Uh, you know, uh, yeah, I do. So, like, there's always the evaluation from an emotional level that you have to look for,
Okay.
right? I have three girls, so I feel like I'm very, um, I can hedge really well against kind
Okay.
of the female side of things, and just understanding my girls. So, and my dad actually was a basketball coach. I was growing up, and he coached girls basketball. So there's a difference between the two because there's just different hormones that are involved, right? Men
Okay.
lean towards the testosterone, women naturally are overweighted in estrogen. So you have to really understand how the body moves, the body works. But fundamentally, if we look back just purely fundamentally, uh, our bodies are a lot of made up of water. So do we need a lot of water? Yes. So do we need to stay hydrated? Yes. And so there's those proper like super fundamentals. Do we need to get more sunlight exposure to get better sleep? Yes, all of us do, male or
Okay.
female, right?
Okay.
And that helps us better perform every day. So like those basic fundamental needs, do all of us need movement? Yes. Are there
Yes.
different type of movement that a female needs over a male? Yes. But
Okay.
if you just look at just straight fundamentals of like what the quality of things that we need to be proper hydrated, we need to get a lot of indirect sunlight exposure, and we need to move. Our body's meant to move. So those three things, although be it there might be different ways at which influence a woman versus a male just because of pure hormone value, in reality the fundamentals still stay the same.
Okay. Okay. That's really interesting. And I'm glad you said that because while there are differences among people, there are also similarities, and we tend to ignore the similarities more than the differences. So thank you for adding
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
Now, do you have any quick tips for people to get started living fueled?
Yeah, the quick tips that I was actually in a podcast earlier this week, but and I go back to this is like, do not set your agendas or your goals for next year. Start them today or tomorrow, right?
Okay.
They become more sticky. So if you're saying, no, I'm going to start this, and then I'm gonna get moving on it like right away, there's more stickiness to it. And so for the purposes of longevity, I always tell people if you aren't familiar with like a gym or you can't go to a gym, that's where the seasonalities of life come into, but how you best optimize it. And optimizing it is maybe you do something short and at home, right? So my wife,
Mhm.
she doesn't go to the gym because she works from home and she wants to do things just on the Peloton app that coaches her, right? And so she gets an efficient workout in the middle of the day, but that allows her to move through the day and feel better about herself. Um, so there's that element of just like know when the ebbs and flows of when you can fit things in, but movement is such a critical piece. So move every day in some
Okay.
capacity, move, right? And it ideally incorporate some sort of resistance training. Resistance training is the best fuel that you can add to your body. So then the other thing is just the basic habits, and I go back to these fundamentals is just making sure we're getting proper hydration in, right?
Okay.
Spring water. I have this like hydrogen water at home, which is pretty cool, but I drink water. So water is just like a mainstay. Make sure you're getting hydrated and you're super efficient with your hydration. And then, so many people lack the indirect sunlight exposure, but get outside every day. So in some capacity, I know it's cold in some states too, but like fresh air is such an amazing thing to just like when you breathe that in. And when you're out
Okay.
there, take like 15 or 20 big gut breaths, right? Because we forget to breathe throughout the day because we're talking so much, or maybe we're at our computer. So make sure you remind yourself just to take some big gut breaths. And those are just some basic fundamental habits that we can start building into our baseline that really just improve the quality of our health. And then when it comes down to it, it depends on kind of like goals that you set for yourself. But we have a Genesis protocol that kind of levels out your pHs and assists with weight loss. But those are some of the basic fundamental things that I just can like provide to the listeners listening is just, start with the super easy things because those small wins eventually compound into bigger things.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Well, can you just tell us a little bit about the pH protocol?
Yeah, our Genesis protocol, it essentially it comes with some nutritional supplementation. So we take you anywhere from like 20 or 30 to 90 days. If you extend it out, you can. But it kind of runs right alongside with our clinic, which we have a clinic here, Leslie Functional Health in Tampa Bay. Um, and but we do telemed health, so it's
Okay.
it's digitally based, and we
Okay.
do like some stuff in clinic. So our in clinic is chiropractic, soft wave technology, decompression to basically help spinal realignment.
Okay.
But the Genesis protocol is geared towards our weight loss. That is where we basically just take you through the entire process of through supplementation and through proper hydration of leveling out your body, and then doing a metabolic reset that allows your body just to naturally start operating the way it needs to. Some people are really just uh, just have done too much their metabolism where it slows down so fast, and so the Genesis protocol basically reinvigorates that and
Okay.
allows them to lose anywhere from a half a pound to a pound a day when they stick to the protocol.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, does the metabolic reset involve fasting?
There's a portion of like basically time restricted. It's not super intensive,
Okay.
um, but there is a portion of like the intermittent piece. It's mainly focused on the hydration piece, staying adequately hydrated, and then getting the supplementation in. And then it's like kind of a more of a restricted eating, right? So
Okay.
it isn't necessarily where you're in like a fasted state long periods of time. In fact,
Okay.
we don't really promote a long periods of fasted state. I'm not a big believer in fasted states. And the reason being is because for the purposes of longevity, when you're in fasted states and you're at such a caloric deficit, you tend to lose muscle mass during those periods. And
Okay.
muscle mass is one of the most critical things that you want to maintain actually as you age.
Okay.
So I'm not a big encourager of that. I'm only really an encourager of staying at maybe a caloric deficit for a
Okay.
period of time, so that you can shed off some weight, you can reinvigorate the metabolism, you can have that metabolic reset where it promotes your body's health and longevity.
Okay. Very well. Very well. Now, do you have any promotions or special programs that you're offering right now?
Yeah, right now, basically, for any like listeners that were on a podcast, even our own podcast, if you come into the clinic, if anyone's in Tampa Bay that's listening, they can come into the clinic and get 30% off
Okay.
any services. So we're doing
Okay.
that. And then we're also doing a 30% off the Genesis protocol that we take people through as well. So you can just mention the word full fueled. We can give you the booking link if anyone's interested in getting on a call with Zeke Samples and our nutritionist that would walk you through that process and what that process looks like.
Okay. So the pH protocol is available online, virtually?
It's
Okay.
telemed, and then pretty much all the supplementation is sent directly to you, and then we have essentially one-on-one coaching or the check-in points with our coach. And so
Okay.
he basically coaches through the entire process. And then you'll be kept up to date with like daily emails on the protocol of like what you need to be doing and
Okay.
nutritional guide and all that stuff.
Okay. Excellent. That sounds like a wonderful program. I'll look into it myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how can anyone reach you if they have a question or want to do a consultation with you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me directly. So I'm on Instagram at human.optimizer and then on Facebook at Matthew Tack. And then Lessie Functional Health is our clinic. And then if you just want to look at lessiefxhealth.com,
Okay.
that's where you can go in there and you can either book an appointment for the Genesis protocol or even to get looked at our clinic for a full evaluation.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Oh my goodness. I really like your program. I really like um your foundation and your mission. I'm just very impressed by it. So thank you for your work and all that you do.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for making time to be here.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
O- Okay. Thank you again for tuning into this episode of the Glen Alex Show. We really hope that you learned how living in your wholeness and living full fueled will not only benefit you and your family, it will also benefit the entire world. So please like, subscribe, and share this episode.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Author Joyce Myers said, I believe that the greatest gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy you. As you consider your health goals for this year, keep in mind that true health requires the integration of your wholeness. Your mental, emotional, and spiritual health matter just as much, if not more, than how much you weigh and what your shape is like. So, focusing only on diet and exercise is unrealistic, limiting, and a recipe for failure and frustration. More than that, this is a critical time in American and world history. We have another golden opportunity to create a healthy collective. The pandemic was the last opportunity for us to right the ship. We didn't. And a healthy collective is only possible when a critical mass of individuals are healthy. Otherwise, we will continue to elect leaders who are imbalanced and dangerous. And again, as Carl Jung said, it is the tortured who generally turn into torturers, not the healthy people. So, to learn more about true health and your wholeness, visit glenalex.com. Order your copy of my 3-time award winning book, Living in Total Health, your copy of Wellness Through Words, which contains my chapter on living well with boundaries, and book your complimentary consultation with me. Then tune in to the next episode of The Glen Alex Show. And until next time, be well.